Tractate Zevachim, page 35b. Top of the page, the words Tashema. Tashema, the Gemara suggests, come and hear a proof from a Mishnah in Me'ilah 9a. Porim hanisrofim, usirim hanisrofim, mo'alim bohem, shehu kdashu, nishchatu, huksheru, libasel b'tvu yom, ובמחוסר כיפורים ובלינו. In the case of bulls that are burned and the goats that are burned, one who derives benefit from them is liable for misuse of consecrated property from the time that they were consecrated. Once they were slaughtered, they are susceptible to being rendered disqualified for sacrifice through contact with one who immersed that day and through contact with one who has not yet brought an atonement offering, and through being left overnight without the requirements of the offering have been fulfilled. My love, linas basal, ushpamina migo di pasavelino paslaba bachshavo. The Gemara derives, what, is it not referring to the flesh being left overnight, which would render it not valid, and conclude from the Mishnah that since the flesh is rendered disqualified by being left overnight, the flesh is also rendered disqualified by the intention to burn the sacrificial portions the next day, meaning it is subject to bigul, which is in accordance with the statement of Rabbi Elazar. La lina semoim amidikatoni sefer. Kulan moalin bahem al beis hadeshen. Ad shivatech basol michlade shelinas basol. Midi irio. Od kideise. Veha kideise reshe morim. Vesefer basol. The Gemara responds, no. It is referring to leaving overnight the sacrificial portions of the offering, not the flesh. Likewise, only the sacrificial portions are rendered pigul by intent to eat them after their designated time. The Gemara asks, but from the fact that the latter clause teaches, one who derives benefit from all of them by the place of the ashes where they are burned is liable for misuse of consecrated property. Until the flesh is completely scorched, it may be inferred that the first clause of the Mishnah is also referring to the flesh being left overnight. The Gemara answers, are the cases comparable? In this case, as it is, and that case as it is, the first clause is referring to the sacrificial portions that are consumed on the altar, and the latter clause is referring to the flesh. Moisi Rava, and some say Rabba. They say Rabba here. Ve'elu shein mipaglin ve'em nitpaglin, tzemer shberosh kevosim, ושער שבזקן תיאשים, והאור והרוטף והכיפה, והעלון והמורה, והעצמות והגידים והקרניים, והצלפיים, והשליל והשלייה, וחלב וקדושים ביצי תוירים. Rabbah raises an objection to the opinion of Rabbi Elazar from a Braita. And these are portions of the offering that do not render an offering pigul, and they do not become pigul. The wool that is on the head of the lambs, the hair that is in the beard of the goats, the hide, the gravy, the spices that amass at the bottom of the pot together with small amounts of meat, a tendon in the neck, the crop, the bones, the tendons, the horns, the hooves, the fetus, the placenta, the milk of sacrificial animals, and the eggs of doves. Kulam lo mitpaglin umitpaglin. ואין חיובין עליהם משום פיגול, לא יסוף אותם עליהם מחוספתו. The Braita continues, all of these do not render other items pigul in the case of intent to consume them after their designated time, and they are not rendered pigul, and one is not liable to receive karet for them, neither due to the prohibition of pigul, nor the prohibition of notar, nor the prohibition against partaking of the meat while ritually impure. And one who offers one of these outside the temple is exempt, since they are not fit to be sacrificed on the altar. My love, lo mifaglin azevach, velo mitfaglin machmat zevach. Rabbi explains, what, does the Braita not mean that all of these items do not render the offering pigul? If one intends to partake of them beyond the designated time, and they are also not rendered pigul due to the rest of the offering having been rendered pigul, this includes the fetus and placenta, and is therefore not in accordance with the statement of Rabbi Lazar that the rest of the offering does render them pigul. Lo mipagin zevach or mipagin machmazatzmon yachi hadikhtani zevach kulim mipagin v'lo mipagin hatulamali. The Gemara responds, no. It means that they do not render the offering pigul, and they are not rendered pigul due to themselves if one had intent to partake of them beyond the designated time. But such intent with regard to the offering can render them pigul. The Gemara asks, if so, concerning that which is taught in the latter clause, all of these do not render other items pigul, and they are not rendered pigul, why do I also need this? Doesn't it teach that they are not rendered pigul due to the rest of the offering? Vayter v'letamech en chayav elav mishum pigul hatu lamali ela aidi debai levista no eso tameh tana pigul. The Gemara answers, and according to your reasoning, that the additional statement is necessary. Then with regard to that which it says a third time, one is not liable to receive karet for them due to the prohibition of pigul. Why do I need this? Rather, the third statement does not teach an additional halacha. But since the Tana wants to teach that one is not liable to receive karet due to violating the prohibition of notar, and the prohibition against partaking of the meat while ritually impure, he taught the halacha with regard to pigul as well. Here too, it can be explained similarly, since the Tana wants to teach the halacha that one who offers up one of these items outside the temple is exempt. He also taught, and all of these do not render other items pigul, and they are not rendered pigul. It may be that the rest of the offering does in fact render them pigul, as Rabbi Eliezer stated. Rava says, we learn in accordance with the statement of Rabbi Elazar in the Mishnah as well. One who slaughters sacrificial female animals with the intent to eat the fetus of those animals or their placenta outside their designated area has not rendered the offering pigul. And one who pinches doves, meaning he slaughters them for sacrifice by cutting the napes off their neck with his fingernail, with the intent to eat their eggs that are still in their bodies outside the designated area, has not rendered the offering pigul. V'hadautani, 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 v'hadautani. V'hadautani chalav mukdashim v'sitoirim in chayav alei mishum pigul no zevachim v'shel v'sheli chayavim. And then it is taught, one who consumes the milk of sacrificial female animals or the eggs of doves is not liable to receive karet for it due to the prohibition of pigul, nor due to the prohibition of notar, nor due to the prohibition against partaking of the meat while ritually impure. But it can be inferred that one who partakes of the fetus or placenta which are not mentioned, is liable to receive karet due to the prohibition of pigul. Rather, isn't it correct to conclude from the Mishnah that here they are rendered pigul due to the offering, and there due to themselves, meaning if he had improper intent concerning them, then they are not rendered pigul. The Gemara affirms, conclude from the Mishnah that it is so. Tanan hasam uvalimumin, Rabbi Akiva machshir valimumin. The brisa cited by Rabbah is now discussed in a different context. We learned in the Mishnah there, 84a, that if disqualified offerings are nevertheless brought upon the altar, they are removed, and blemished animals are also included in this halacha. Rabbi Akiva deems blemished animals fit, and if they were brought upon the altar, they are not removed. Amar Bechia Barabba Amar Yochanan Lo Yechshel Bekiva Ela Vedukin Shiba'ain Hoyin Yechsherim Oibos Yehoshua Bechia Barabba says, Rabbi Yochanan says that Rabbi Akiva deemed fit only an animal with a blemish on the cornea of the eye, and similar blemishes that are not noticeable since they are valid in the case of birds. And in addition, this is the halacha provided that its consecration preceded its blemish, meaning when the animal was consecrated, it was still entirely fit. Amar Bechia Barabba Moeder Bekiva Ve'oilas Nikeva Nichema Nikad Muma Rabbi Yehoshua Barabba says that Rabbi Akiva concedes with regard to a female burnt offering that was brought upon the altar, that since a burnt offering may be only a male animal, it is comparable to a case where its blemish preceded its consecration, since this qualifying factor was there from the outset. Therefore, if it was brought upon the altar, it must be removed. Rabbi Zera raises an objection to this from the Braita cited by Rabbah. One who offers up one of these outside the temple is exempt, as they are not fit to be sacrificed on the altar. But it can be inferred that if he were to sacrifice from the flesh of the mother of one of these outside the temple, he would be liable. And how can you find these circumstances? It is only in the case of a female burnt offering. This is because with regard to a peace offering, which may also be from a female animal, its flesh is not burned on the altar but is eaten. Therefore, there would be no liability for sacrificing it outside the temple. Rabbi Zera explains these objections. Granted, if you say that Rabbi Akiva holds it with regard to female burnt offering, that if it ascended onto the altar, it does not descend, in accordance with whose opinion is this Braita. It is that of Rabbi Akiva. This is because one is liable for sacrificing any offering outside the temple that may be sacrificed on the altar, including one that was brought upon the altar inappropriately but is not removed. But if you say that with regard to a female burnt offering, if it ascended the altar, it must descend, and it entirely lacks the status of an offering fit to be sacrificed on the altar, in accordance with whose opinion is this Braita. The Gemara answers say that the inference should be as follows: one who offers up one of those items outside the temple is exempt, but if he sacrificed from the sacrificial portions of the mother of one of these, he's liable. The halacha can apply to both a sin offering and a peace offering, for which a female may be brought and whose sacrificial portions are burned on the altar. Em hamalach memorehem bachutz. Patu ha memore iman chayo. The more challenges, but the Brisa teaches this halacha with the term of one of these, indicating that is referring to one who sacrifices the flesh and not the sacrificial portions alone. And the case of their mother is similar to that of them, and is therefore referring to sacrificing the flesh of the mother outside the temple and not the sacrificial portions. Rather, say as follows: one who offers up part of their sacrificial portions outside the temple is exempt, but one who offered up some of the sacrificial portions of the mother of one of these is liable. That's finished. New Mishnah. Shochato. It's going to be in the middle of the Mishnah, so we'll start, God willing, tomorrow. We'll just finish the Mishnah here, last two lines. New Mishnah. Shochato. Manas laniach es damo, o emurav lemacho, o lihotzi anachutz. Rabbi Yehuda posted v'chacham mashir. Amanas litnan al gabi hakevish. Shilo keneged yisov litim et hanitonim למעלה למטה ואת הניתונים למטה למעלה ואת הניתונים. Okay, it's the middle of the Mishnah. We'll just say up until the middle part and start over again in the next stop. Here's the shit. If one slaughters the animal in order to leave its blood or its sacrificial portions for the next day, or to remove them outside the designated area, but not in order to sacrifice them on the next day, Rabbi Yehuda deems the offering unfit, and the rabbis deem it fit. In the case of one who slaughters the animal in order to place the blood upon the ramp or on the wall of the altar that is not opposite the base of the altar, or in order to place the blood that is to be placed above the red line, below the red line. In the case of one who slaughters the animal in order to place the blood upon the ramp or on the wall of the altar that is not opposite the base of the altar, or in order to place the blood that is to be placed above the red line, below the red line, or to place the blood that is to be placed below the red line, above the red line, or the blood that is placed. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow, God willing.